Welcome to Law Syrup, the show where we talk with special guests about hot topics in Canadian law. This podcast is a co-production with the Ontario Justice Education Network, also known as OJEN. I'm your host, Herman Wong. Let's tap in. Before we begin, please note that this show is not intended to be legal advice or be a replacement for a legal representative. Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. We've been away for a little while. But before we launch into our second season this year, which we are very excited about, I thought it'd be a great opportunity to offer listeners an inside look at the Ontario Justice Education Network and what they do. They have been amazing co-producers of this show, and in the last few months, they've also released accompanying resources for all of our Season 1 episodes, and they are all available on ojen.ca. I definitely encourage you all to check them out, whether you're a teacher looking to find new classroom resources, or just someone who is curious about learning more about the topics that we've covered here. But back to the matter at hand, which is OJEN in general. For this episode, I had a great discussion with Ashley Harripersad, who is a program director at OJEN. So if you were ever curious about what OJEN does, then this episode is for you. Without further ado, here's what we talked about. All right, so Ashley, thank you so much for being here today. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you? How's daylight savings treating you?
I was just talking to Jean Paul, who helps with this podcast. I was saying I took a walk for the first time yesterday, like during sunset, and it was amazing because it was nice, it was warm, I didn't have to wear my boots and everything, and it was just like, wow, like I really missed sunlight, if that makes any sense. But how's it been for you?
It's been an adjustment. I feel like the day that we lose that hour always whizzes past, but I did notice that it was much brighter longer yesterday, so that was nice. And it does feel like spring is on its way.
I know you finally see like all the snow and ice melting, which is fantastic. And usually in February, it's like one of those moments where it's like white snow turning black and it's all slushy and it's not that appealing. But
Yeah,
now
it's
it's
not
like,
pretty.
yes, but now it's like, oh my gosh, you can finally see like the grass underneath, plants are starting to grow. It's great. I love it. But then there's allergy season, which is not the greatest. But but today we're here to talk about OJEN. And thank you so much for taking your time to talk about it because OJEN is the co-producer of this podcast. And I've always found it interesting that we've never had an OJEN-centric episode. So I think it would be a very good opportunity to talk to you today about what you do for OJEN and also what OJEN does in general. So my first question for you is actually this. What exactly is OJEN and what does it stand for and what does OJEN do on a day-to-day basis?
Okay, so OJEN, or the Ontario Justice Education Network, is a nonprofit organization that works across Ontario to help young people better understand the legal system. So we create educational tools and programs to teach youth about the law and prepare them to handle legal issues, in their own lives. OJEN partners with a wide range of volunteers like judges, lawyers, police officers, and law students who bring their real world experience to the table. And the goal isn't just to give young people legal knowledge, but to create a space for open discussions where both youth and legal professionals can learn from each other. And we reach thousands of youth each year to ensure more youth are equipped with the skills and confidence they need to help navigate legal situations.
Right, that's amazing. And when I first learned about OJEN, actually, it was on a LinkedIn post. It was one of my friends. She was a Justice Education Fellow, and she had a posting about next year's Justice Education Fellow. So that's kind of how I fell into learning about OJEN. And when I found out about what they did, I thought it was incredible work. And I really loved the element of reaching out to youth in terms of justice education. And I thought the initiatives were really great. But I know that you've got a very interesting story about first coming into contact with OJEN as well. So when did you first learn about OJEN and get involved with the organization?
So I was in the Law and Action Within Schools program at Central Tech. And I remember the first mock trial we did in grade 10. It was an OJEN mock trial, and I believe it was a criminal one. And I also remember OJEN being around for a few other things. I remember a conference that the Canadian Civil Liberties Education Trust put on, and there was a session run by OJEN with OJEN materials. I remember we had speakers come in. I believe this was coordinated from OJEN. We were introduced to different types of lawyers. And honestly, before laws and OJEN, what I knew about lawyers and the legal profession was truthfully what I had seen on TV. I had no idea that lawyers did things outside of courthouses, at that age.
Hmm.
So OJEN really helped open up my world and helped me delve into the legal professional more personally.
You mentioned the mock trial program. Can you talk more about your experience with that and what was that like to participate as a student?
So the mock trial honestly was a highlight of my high school career, for sure. I remember at the time, you're so young. What was I, 15 or 16? It felt so real and high stakes. I remember my team working diligently. We prepared for the case, the opening statement, the cross questions, preparing for what the other side might say, thinking up potential objections, fun things like that, along with the hard work. And then we show up at Old City Hall. They robe us. They tell us, obviously told us before that there was going to be a real judge presiding over the case. And oh my, were we nervous. But we were also such a competitive group. So we did our best. We won some parts, not so much others. And we got to meet some great justice sector volunteers along the way. I believe we had lawyer coaches, and they were with us from the start to the finish. And obviously, with the judges' feedback, it was a blast.
Well, that's amazing. I didn't even know that you went to Old City Hall to do this. I think that's a really good experience to go downtown and see what the courts is like.
Mhm.
And what would you say to students who also might be considering participating in one of the OGEN mock trials for the first time?
So I think experiential components are so impactful when it comes to learning about the legal system. I would say, hey, this is an opportunity for you to get into a role, build on skills that you are already building, such as public speaking, even critical thinking. I think it's a great opportunity, even if you're not interested in pursuing a career necessarily in law, because it lets you truly build skills that are transferable.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Speaking of the mock trial, did you always know from that point that you wanted to be involved with the legal profession, or do you know of anyone else that you were a student with who was inspired by that to pursue a career in the legal profession?
Yeah, a few of us went on to do different things. One of my old peers is now a Toronto police officer. Another few of my friends have their paralegal diplomas. A bunch of us went to law school. But truthfully, the mock trial was a pivotal moment for us at that age. It was one of probably the first true introductions we had to the legal process. And it was both exciting and eye-opening. Preparing our arguments, anticipating objections, the experience overall is incredibly authentic. And I think at that time it became clear to me that being a lawyer or a representative of a role in the law is much more than just about arguing, right? It was about strategy, collaboration, effective communication.
Right.
And so that experience
Hmm.
deepened my understanding of the legal profession's impact, and it further fueled my interest for pursuing a career in law.
Yeah, I think for all of us, there's like that one aha moment. For
Mhm.
me, it was also going to the courthouse downtown, not Old City Hall, but the one on University Avenue. And we sat in on a criminal trial and talked to a judge. And I think it was one of those opportunities where we got to go in person
Mhm.
outside of the classroom and see law in action versus just law in the classroom. And I think opportunities like that were really good. And OGEN does offer many of these experiences as well, which is why I think that something like the mock trial is such a great opportunity for students in high school to kind of try out their advocacy skills and learn more about what an in-person live courtroom session might be like. So after high school, what did you do and what led you back to working at OGEN?
So, really, what led me back to OGEN, I was finishing up my undergrad degree. I was in fourth year, thinking to the steps ahead of what I was going to get up to. And I did want to apply to law school, but I also wanted to get more of a taste of what working in the legal field was like. Obviously, I didn't have a legal degree, so I wanted to learn more about working in the profession overall. And I remember reaching out to laws at that time and I said, hey, keep me in mind if you know of any postings. And I was sent one for a part-time project officer. And I remember just being so eager to apply. I remember thinking, wow, this would be perfect. And I ended up applying and I ended up staying and working for 3 years before I went off to law school.
And that's great. And now you're a program developer at OGEN, and you work to support the educator support and outreach departments. I was wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about your day-to-day work that you do.
So, in my role, I'm involved in a variety of educator support and outreach initiatives. For my educator support role, I run the poster challenge, which is a great opportunity for our younger students to engage creatively with legal topics and to help express their ideas through artwork. I support the essay contest, which encourages students to dive deeper into legal issues and explore them through writing. And I also help with the bursary program, which provides financial assistance to students pursuing legal studies, helping them to take the next step in their education. So, on the outreach side, I'm involved in several programs as well. I support the Yes We Can program, which focuses on career modeling and working with racialized youth to show them that they too belong here if they have an interest in law. I also work with Family Law for Young Parents program, helping young parents understand their legal rights and responsibilities in family matters. And I also help out with public legal education and information programming, which is all about making legal info easy to understand and accessible to our audiences. And the goal here is really to make sure people have the knowledge they need to handle legal issues in their everyday lives. And I would say that these roles let me play a part in OJEN's mission to help young people build their legal knowledge and skills, legal capability, while also supporting educators and communities really across Ontario.
Well, that's amazing. And you mentioned a couple of different projects and different departments. What is it like working on all of these things at once within OGEN?
Working on different projects and in various departments is really exciting. It can be a lot in one day, but I quite enjoy it. It keeps things fresh and it gives me the chance to learn about different aspects of OGEN's work. One day I might be focused on something creative like the poster challenge, and the next day I'm supporting outreach programs that help young people understand family law or their legal rights. So it really is a great mix because it allows me to collaborate with different teams, each with their own expertise, and really allows me to see how it all comes together.
And how has it been like for you to work with the other people on the OGEN team?
Unbelievably awesome. It really helps with some of the hours, the long hours of the day. And I would actually like to highlight two individuals in the outreach department that I have the pleasure of working with. So there's Cassandra Thomas and Anasoni Kadiri, and they're both so vital to the OGEN team. Cassandra is a program manager, and she helps develop and deliver OGEN's educational programs, working with schools and community partners to make sure they're impactful. And truthfully, Cassandra's passion for justice education really shows in how she connects with the youth and brings the legal system to life for them. And then there's Enna Soni, the director of outreach, who does everything. But to give you a couple of examples, she focuses on outreach and volunteer coordination. She ensures that OGEN's network of legal professionals stays strong. She does a really, really good job of matching volunteers to the right programs. And honestly, she keeps everything running smoothly behind the scenes. But working with them has been so meaningful because they're clearly so passionate about the work that they do. So from start to beginning, that shines through in all of the work that they do.
And, it's great to learn more about the people at OGEN because I think you all come from different backgrounds in terms of education and where you were in your legal career. And it's really nice to see everybody come together to further initiatives that have to do with justice education, with reaching out to young people, people who might not know a lot about the law. And it's really great to hear from you about all these different initiatives and programs that OGEN is a part of. So, in your opinion, why should students, teachers, or the general public be interested in knowing more about what OGEN does?
That's a great question. People should be interested in OGEN because it offers a unique opportunity to better understand the legal system and how it affects our everyday lives. For students, it's a chance to learn about their rights and responsibilities and develop skills, like I mentioned, critical thinking, communication, and problem solving that are valuable in any career. For teachers, OGEN provides resources to bring law into the classroom in a practical and engaging way. And I'd say for the general public, OGEN helps build stronger communities by fostering a deeper understanding of the legal system and encouraging meaningful discussions about justice. So OGEN doesn't just teach the law, it helps people connect with it on a personal level, making it what I believe is more relevant and accessible.
Yeah, when I talk to teachers sometimes about the OGEN resources, I think they're all very, very happy with them and they really enjoy using them to create classroom activities, generate discussion amongst students. I think the resources that OGEN has, especially on the website, and I encourage anyone who's curious about the OGEN resources to go to OGEN's website because it's all there. But I think the team at OGEN really has put a lot of time and effort into these resources. And I think that teachers are responding well to them. And I encourage any other teacher who might not be using the OGEN resources to look more into them. I think OGEN does an incredible job at making sure that people feel like they have access to resources that are free and that they can use to further learning in their own classrooms. So, Ashley, what's next for OGEN? Is there anything that you're currently looking forward to?
Looking ahead, I'm really excited about the possibility of doing more work with newcomers. So, there's a huge opportunity to help them understand the legal system and their rights as they settle into their new community. And while we're still working out the details, I'm really excited about more programming for newcomer youth. So I would say stay tuned, more to come on that.
Well, that's very interesting. I mentioned some of the resources that OGEN provides before, but what are some other ways that people can get involved with OGEN?
Getting involved with OGEN is simple and impactful. People can contribute in a few different ways, I think. For those looking to volunteer, OGEN welcomes volunteers from all areas of the justice sector, judges, lawyers, law students, even those in the community who want to share their experiences and expertise with youth. I believe it's a great way to give back while also helping to shape the next generation's understanding of the legal system. And of course, if you're interested in donating, OGEN is a nonprofit organization, so donations are always appreciated and help support our educational programs across Ontario. And so to learn more about how you can get involved, people can visit our website, as you mentioned, and I believe it's got all the information you need to get started.
Yeah, I think there's a very good page there about how to get involved. And again, it's not just students and teachers who can get involved, it's anyone in the legal profession. As Ashley mentioned, judges, lawyers, paralegals, anyone who might be interested in helping out. I think OGEN would very much appreciate their support, especially in terms of their justice education initiatives. But apart from that, those are all my questions, Ashley. I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to speak to me about OGEN. And I think we really needed an OGEN episode, and I'm really happy that you were able to share your answers with us. So thank you so much once again for joining us.
Thank you. It's been so nice to talk about what we do here.
Thank you. Thank you for tapping into this episode of Law Syrup. Law Syrup is produced by me, Herman Wong, and the Ontario Justice Education Network. For more information and for accompanying resources, check out ogen.ca and our show notes. See you next time.